Hello and welcome. My name is Matt Ewins, Information Officer at the Regional Support Centre South West, and we're here today in Second Life in Cornwall College, and I'm also here with Julia Dando, and she has helped to develop this innovative teaching area, and we're going to discuss about how they have involved many different activities and how they plan to develop a core study within Second Life. So pass over to Julia Dando.
Hello, you're actually seeing me here as my avatar Julala Jinx, but yes, I am actually Julia Dando, the e-learning development manager for Cornwall College, and we are sat on Cornwall College Island in Second Life, which I'm just zooming around a little bit so you can have a quick peek. We're actually sat in a farmyard here, which is our sort of primary teaching area now, and has become that. So yeah, this is hopefully we'll share a little bit of wisdom of our experience of using Second Life in a teaching and learning environment.
Okay, let's start with the first question. So what was the main reason for developing a Second Life world for Cornwall College?
Well, we know that Second Life is being used quite widely, particularly in the States with education, and it's proving to be quite a very sort of immersive and effective delivery tool for some courses and some people. So it's something that we wanted to have a look at, and we were able to get some funding to set up Cornwall College Island. And we wanted to see how we could use this island and use Second Life and the virtual world environment as a teaching and learning tool.
So how did you go about designing and implementing Cornwall College into Second Life?
Actually, the far bigger challenge will be to implement Second Life into Cornwall College, not Cornwall College into Second Life. Designing this island was very much a sort of trial and error process, to be honest. Myself and my colleague Bex Faraday did most of the developing here with help from another colleague, Steve Griffin, who's the head of the School of Education and Training at Cornwall College. And we were both fairly inexperienced, Bex and myself, in building. And so the building of this island really was our learning experience in how to build and develop within Second Life. We spent many an evening sort of just fiddling and playing, and then redeveloping and rebuilding as we learned. What we did decide to do was to keep the ground level to be a sort of virtual representation of Cornwall, so that visitors to the island would perhaps get some kind of virtual sense of what Cornwall's like. And we do have other teaching areas and offices tucked away up in the sky, so that it's very much an aesthetically pleasing area down here, and a much more functional areas up in the sky.
Okay, what are the most important factors in your choice of virtual world?
It's an interesting question because there are a lot of virtual worlds that are out there, and if you're not involved with virtual worlds you wouldn't have a clue that that was the case, but it is. There are hundreds and thousands of different virtual worlds out there, and each one probably has a different relevance to a different group of people. Now, Second Life is possibly the most populated, certainly in terms of an educational context. So this is where a lot of educational work is going on, and there are a lot of educational people and universities and colleges using Second Life. So that would be the natural place to go. But of course there are limitations with things like Second Life is only for over 18-year-olds. So if you want to use a virtual world with under 18-year-olds, then of course this would not be your choice. Of course you can go to the Teen Grid, which is still Second Life, but runs very, very differently, and with much more secure and private islands for your children to work on. But what we are finding also is that quite a lot of educational people are looking to move from Second Life into a private environment. Now, Second Life have just launched their enterprise version, which sits behind your own network and is a private virtual world. But for us, one of the real sort of interesting factors of Second Life is the collaboration and communication with the community. There's a massive community in here of other educators. So one of the real sort of, I think, values of Second Life is that you can talk with and collaborate with other educators, and certainly we do that on a very regular basis. So those are sort of, I suppose, quite important factors in choosing your virtual environment.
How does the college fund the resources such as staff time, adequate PCs and development funding to run sessions using virtual worlds such as Second Life?
Well, initially there's a set-up cost, obviously. It actually does cost quite a bit of money to buy your own island. In terms of buying the island itself, you're looking at, I think it's around £700, plus there's a rental as well per year, and you also have to have a premium account for the caretaker of that island, so there are set-up costs involved. We actually got funding from external project to start this. It was the Cornwall Learning Network Phase 3 project that actually funded the startup of this. So once those initial startup costs have been dealt with, it becomes a little bit more blurred, because things like staff time, Bex, my colleague, has actually got some time allocated to this because we are running courses in here. So, it kind of does come into our own contractual hours, and I'm sat here now talking to you within my contractual hours. However, of course, with anything like this, I think what you find is that there is a certain amount of love of it, really, with the people involved, and I can't pretend that the development of this island would have happened if we were only working in college hours. Bex and myself spent hundreds of hours of our own time in here developing, but that's because it was our interest, and we're a little bit geeky perhaps, and we were very interested in learning how it was going to develop and how to develop it ourselves. So let's not pretend. I do think that with most ILT and innovative technologies, you will end up with keen people who will be the people that put the most time and energy and effort into it. And certainly the people that I meet in Second Life from all over the world in other colleges and universities, whether they are funded or non-funded, you will find that they will be very enthusiastic and engaging in their personal time as well, to exploring and researching the educational values of virtual worlds. With regards to computers, the spec isn't that highly required for running Second Life. There is actually a minimum spec on the Second Life website. That's on www.secondlife.com, and it's not that great a spec, and we do find that it is possible to use our standard computers at college use Second Life on those. So there's not a great investment that's required in terms of hardware. There are some issues about firewalls, and certainly within our own network we had to open up a couple of additional ports, but there are colleges and universities all over the world using Second Life, and which is very handy, because when things like firewall issues and sort of network issues arise, of course there's a whole community out there working on solutions to those problems, and certainly I think you will find on the Second Life wiki or blog links to workarounds and how to make sure that Second Life can access through the firewalls and networks. It's just a couple of extra ports that need opening up.
Are you involved in educational situations where using a virtual world may have some advantages?
Yes, indeed, actually. There's certain circumstances where using virtual worlds is proving to have great advantage. As I said earlier, we are very much involved in looking at what other people are doing. And every Tuesday I go to a meeting in the evening where we look at different tools that are being developed within Second Life for educational, generally, purposes. It's the Immersion Tools Jam evening, which is very useful. But also on a Thursday evening, we go to a session called Train for Success, again, which is attended by people from all over the world in their different time zones. Both of those sessions, actually. It's quite interesting because I'll be there at 6 o'clock in the evening. I know of at least one person that's there in Thailand who's going to be 7 or 8 hours ahead of us. And of course the Americans are 7 or 8 hours behind us. So people all in one place from all over the world in all different time zones. It's a very interesting experience. But the Thursday evening sessions with Train to Success, we actually visit educational and training facilities, and it's been very interesting. Things like, we went to the University of Sheffield's build, where they are actually looking at the use of Second Life and virtual worlds for training of doctors and nurses. And they've got a sort of hospital set up and operating theatre set up and things like that, where sort of the role play and simulation ability of Second Life has really helped considerably with some of the sort of less technical points that they need to learn. Obviously it can't replace any real life simulations and practice, particularly in those circumstances. One of the things that we've noticed as well is that because Second Life is or virtual worlds generally are a very immersive experience, and in that sense they can be a lot more engaging than even other types of online training. I'm involved myself in delivering online training through the internet in a 2D environment, and what we have found is that very much this 3D environment where we take our little pretend people, for some reason, and there are lots of research studies going on to establish the reasons, but for some reason it is very much more engaging and immersive than other types of environment. Sometimes even a real life environment.
What has been students' response to using virtual worlds?
Well, we're using Second Life as a delivery mechanism in a couple of courses at the moment, one of which is the Petals course, which is the preliminary teaching in the lifelong learning sector. And also we have got students working in here on an arts and media degree, and also just started some German students working in here on a business course. So we've got a few things going on in here, and the students' response has been very positive. In fact, so much so that the Petals is actually a pilot, and we're using Web 2.0 technology in that as well. So we're using things like Moodle and wikis and blogs and Twitter, etc. Lots of different Web 2.0 technologies as well as Second Life. And overwhelmingly, the response has been that the most enjoyable and engaging way of delivering has been Second Life. So much so that we only had a couple of sessions booked to be in Second Life, and the students have said that they would actually much rather have more Second Life interaction. And so we've introduced almost weekly sessions in Second Life because that's what they wanted. Very much more above any of the other Web 2.0 technologies. So the response to using virtual worlds has been very, very positive so far. The arts and media students, again, very keen. It's very interesting. It's not going to be for everybody, just like any technology, just like any method of teaching and learning is not for everybody. Learning styles really do play an important part here. But so far, our experience is that the students' response to being in the virtual world has been extremely positive.